Yo, yo, yo. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another Mandalorian discussion stream. I am the Gold Man, and today we will be talking about episode 3. I don't remember what it was called. The Mandalorian. This isn't the bed. The Mandalorian season 3, episode 3. What was it called? Does it have a name? The Convert. Yeah, because it's all about Dr. Pershing. So before I get into my in-depth thoughts, I'll wait a sec before some more people get into the chat, and you guys can ask some questions before we get started. Let's get it. What up, Skinned Christ? What up? I am doing well. Today was a good day. Mandalorian. I did wake up early for it though. I woke up at I was sleeping last night, and I was like, you know what? I woke up around 4ish, and I was like, oh, Mandalorian's out. And that's the worst thing for me. I don't want to wake up early to watch The Mandalorian, but say it's Wednesday morning, and I wake up, and I'm like, oh, Mandalorian's out now. Then I can't go back to sleep because I keep on thinking about it, and then I end up watching it, and then I end up ruining my sleep schedule, and it's just a big disaster. So yeah, I'm a little. Actually, I wouldn't even say I'm tired. I'm feeling good. Hey, Goldman, how are you doing? I'm doing well. I passed 30,000 subscribers today, so that was awesome. A year ago today, I was at like 6,500, so I've pretty much 5x'd my subscriber count, which is insane, and I have you guys to thank. But yeah, I'm doing well. Hey, Goldman, yo, wait, I haven't finished the episode yet. Oh, finish the episode and then come back. I'm sorry, I cannot wait for you, Orion. You know what's annoying? I got a new computer recently, and I like to have the episode of The Mandalorian like up as I'm doing these streams so I can like go through it and like remember certain things that I forgot before, but I don't currently, since I got a new computer, I'm not logged in. I don't remember my password. And I could just realize that right before I started this stream. So I'm actually going to pull it up on my phone. Obviously, I'm not going to play it to you guys. I just want to have it in the background so I can reference it if I need to. Also, I was doing some preparation for my next big video, so stay tuned for that. This was one of our longer episodes. It was 58 minutes. What was it called? The Convert. It was an interesting one. All right, there we go. Perfect. Oh, congrats, Goldman! You earned that sub count. Thank you. I've been working very hard, and I'm glad to see that it's paying off. Would you let Katie O'Brien step on you? She's the actress of the Imperial Lady. No, I would not. Unfortunately, I'm not that kind of guy. Those space fight scenes were nuts. Yeah, they were good. You can tell they've upped the budget since season 1. Because in season 1, we didn't really have any dogfights. We had one. I remember. I think it was the 5th episode in season 1 where the episode begins and someone's just chasing Mando and Grogu in the Razor Crest, just like 1-on-1. And then at the end of season 1, it was just like a big battle against one TIE fighter. Now we're getting battles against a bunch of TIE interceptors. Have we seen the interceptors yet in Mandalorian? I don't remember. And we saw some bombers. So like the Empire still has a fleet. And I think they mentioned that in the 2nd season that Moff Gideon still has a fleet. But yeah, I wonder. So as of right now, Moff Gideon's still in jail. I wonder if they've rescued. They plan on rescuing him at some point because I'm assuming he's gonna get out. Also, I'm going on a trip tomorrow. I should double check the stuff I'm taking. You should, but you can listen to me in the background. Boo. We have in the background. What does that mean? This is the first time we see interceptors on screen since Return of the Jedi, which is crazy. Really? Yeah, because there's no First Order interceptors. Oh yeah. I guess Rebels, unless you don't count that as on screen. It's currently the lowest rated Mando episode on IMDb. What score would you give it? This episode is the lowest rated episode? Really? Why? I'm pulling up IMDb right now. That has to be a fluke. The series has a good rating. I'm shocked. How does what? Oh, never mind. I was confused. I was looking at the wrong episode. Yeah, I don't know how this episode is such a low rating. Okay, so let me get into my thoughts. I'll read a few more comments and then we can get started. We saw it in season 2.5 in The Purge. Oh, okay. I don't know if that was the first time Bo-Katan's home has been destroyed. Yeah, you'd think that when the Empire bombed Mandalore in the flashback in Book of Boba Fett, that they'd go to the neighboring moons and bomb those too. I meant on screen as in live action. Yeah. How is it the lowest rated one? Yeah, that's weird. Granted, it's still only 7.5. Really, like if I go back to season 1, the Gunslinger, which I think is the worst episode, is also 7.5. If I go to season 2, yeah, all the episodes are like 9 and above, besides the Passenger. So yeah, this is technically the lowest rated episode. That's weird. All right, let me get into my thoughts. So there's really 2 stories here. There's the Mando and Bo-Katan stuff, which is at the beginning and the end of the episode, and then there's the Dr. Parshing and what was her name? I don't remember the woman's name. I know the actress's name. I don't know the character's name. Let me Imperial woman in Mandalorian. Aaliyah Kane. Oh, Aaliyah. That's right. Let's be honest, no one wanted to see the Doctor for 37 minutes. All right, so I'm going to talk about the Mando portion first, which is the beginning and the end, and then I'll talk about the Dr. Parshing and Officer Kane portion, because that's the Coruscant stuff. So with the Mando portion, they didn't really do much. Like Bo-Katan rescued Mando, and at first she's a little shocked by the Mythosaur. So I guess seeing the Mythosaur is a really big deal. I wasn't entirely sure if the Mythosaur was a myth, pun intended. I don't know if it was exactly a myth and that like no one's seen it forever, but I guess since the Mandalorians are gone, that the Mythosaur is back. And then Bo-Katan saw it, and she's like, she asked Mando, "Did you see the Mythosaur, or did you see something?" And he's like, "No." So that clearly like stunned her in some way. And then you know what? This is one thing I noticed and actually surprised me. The whole episode, Bo-Katan has her helmet on. She never takes it off in this episode. I thought for sure that that Katie Sackhoff wasn't actually acting in this episode. I thought she had a stunt double, but she did tweet out saying like this episode was so much fun to film. So maybe it was her. I don't know. Is that with Mando himself, Pedro Pascal is not always in the armor. Most of the time, it's not him. For the Mandalorian, it's more so of a voice acting job for Pedro Pascal. So they leave Mandalore after going in the waters, and then they're going back to, I forgot the name of Bo-Katan's planet. It's like Carvala or something. It's the moon, that is. And then that space battle slash, it wasn't really a space battle because it was on the planet, but that was really well done. I was impressed with that. Mando having to jump out to go onto the N1. You'd think that the Empire would be able to shoot him down like before he got to the actual N1 and took off, but it didn't. It was just I don't go too far in depth into fight scenes. I just thought it was an entertaining sequence, and I always thought the idea of Mando getting an N1 is a little bit cheesy, but that thing is super quick, and you'd think a ship that old isn't that quick, but it was. So they bomb Bo-Katan's home, and I wonder what caused the Empire to show up there, because it seemed like a perfect coincidence. Maybe I doubt they have anything like planted on Mandalore, and why would they be showing up to Bo-Katan's planet or moon right now of all times? It just seems like they clearly know about Bo-Katan's planet. Why show up now? Maybe they just got word back that Bo-Katan was involved in Moff Gideon getting captured, but it seems like a long time has passed since Mando season 2 and season 3, so it was a little bit peculiar as to why they showed up now. But anyway, Bo-Katan's upset. They leave and they go to whatever planet the Mandalorians are hiding on, and Mando gets inducted into the cult, and they also accept Bo-Katan because she technically bathed in the waters as well. And you could tell in the background that Paz Vizsla was not happy about it, because I guess he doesn't like the clan Kreese, and maybe they have some history together. I don't think so, but you never know. And you could tell, and this is the subtle acting I love by these Mandalorian episodes, and it was great in season 1, that you can just tell based off of the body language, especially when the Mandalorians, when they're wearing the helmet, that she was like shocked by this. I think in a good way. I think she's like found a semblance, not a family, but she's seeing a group of people that care about each other, and she's been depressed for a while now because the other Mandalorians are supposedly fighting each other. So I think she sees potential with this group of Mandalorians. I don't know if she's going to join the cult necessarily. That seems a little bit far-fetched, but I think she's enjoying them for now. And that's really all that's there for the Mando and Bo-Katan stuff. It's not like Book of Boba Fett bad, where he wasn't in an episode. At least they fleshed out a little bit more of Mando's story and Bo-Katan's story. But overall, not much there to it, which is fine because we'll get into in a sec about the other half of the episode. Well, let's go to the comments for a bit. Only 2 comments. I guess not many people show up to these streams anymore. Mando fans when Grogu isn't the center stage 24/7. What do you mean? And that's another thing. I'll get into this in a sec. Seeing people on Reddit saying that the attack on Bo-Katan's house is a clear Thrawn attack tactic due to how they distracted her at the amount of TIE fighters. What's your opinion on that? Interesting. I don't know. It's not a bad idea, honestly. If I guess that's smart. Maybe that was just a coincidence. I don't know. But I don't know. It's like what is Thrawn's business? That's what I'm really curious about. What is Thrawn's goal? It's like if he's supposedly this big villain, we never saw him have any relations with the Mandalorians. Really, they helped. No, the Mandalorians. Yeah, they did stuff with the Empire, and there were some Imperial Mandalorians, but there weren't any that were really involved with Thrawn. So that's a little peculiar. So I don't know. Maybe. Well, I guess we'll find out what their motivation is. We also don't know why the Empire was there in the first place. So. And that's usually how these seasons go, where there's stuff about the Empire we don't understand, and then at the end of the season we learn a little bit more, but we still don't really know. Like we still don't know why they're trying to get Grogu's blood to clone him. Did they ended up getting his blood, right? So there's still more that we need to learn, and hopefully it ties into the sequels. If not, oh well. Thrawn's cooking up something. He is. I can't wait to see him finally. What upset me about Bo and how she had no choice to join the convert. She lost everything at this point. Casca, accent, her home. Where else would she go? Why would that upset you? She has a choice. She doesn't have to stay. I think she actually plans on leaving, but you know. Could Moff Gideon be coming back? Is Officer Kane still potentially working for him? I think so. I think they have some sort of connection, or maybe there's someone that's stepping in for Moff Gideon's place. Well, Moff Gideon will be coming back. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito was on the press. He's talked about the season. He's coming back. So in what manner, we'll see. I don't think he's just going to show up as they walk in and see him in prison. I think he'll actually have a role this season. Or is she being set up as the next big bad? I don't think so. Ooh, a super chat from Jeff Johnson. I really appreciate that. Din Djarin should be called Mandalore the Redeemed. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for the super chat, Jeff Johnson. I appreciate it. Parshing mentioning mixing clone DNA is giving me Snoke vibes. Yeah, I thought about that too. We'll get into that in a sec. How did Thrawn survive? Well, he's clearly alive. If Ezra's alive, Thrawn's alive. That whole ending of Rebels, as much as I love that ending, it is a little silly that they went into hyperspace with like broken windows and still all survived. But I try not to pick on Star Wars science too much. Sorry, it upset me in a good way. It felt tragic that the gal was forced into the position. It was poetic. Oh, yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. All right, so let's talk about the Dr. Parshing stuff, because that's really the talk about this episode. And this is where I'm conflicted. As a Star Wars fan, as someone who likes the sequels for the most part, as someone who is aware of the lore that happens between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, I loved the Dr. Parshing stuff. They did so much subtle world building. They showed us what the New Republic was like, and they also showed us a decent amount of how the New Republic is kind of not good. Like it shocked me right away that with the Imperial converts, as the title of this episode, they're referred to by letters and numbers. Like he doesn't say I'm Dr. Parshing. He's like D something. I don't remember the number. That was peculiar. And then the fact that they have this like mind wiping technology, that is not something a good and respected political system does. So that's bad. And these people, these Imperial converts, they don't have rights. It seems they all live together, which I guess the rooms seem nice. So at least it's not like terrible housing. But I mean, he's not allowed to work on other stuff. He seems to be like just sent back to the bottom of the barrel. That doesn't even seem to be doing doctor work. And they're and this is another thing. There's a lot of things that are history related in this episode. We see that the New Republic is like destroying a bunch of Imperial documents. They're erasing history, which could be why they let it happen again with the First Order in 30 years. Well, I guess in this case, it would be 20 something years. Sorry. So there was a bunch of different things like that I really appreciated. And also the world building on Coruscant. I've never been too big on a fan of Coruscant. I mean, it's just a planet that looks cool. But I don't know, just seeing like different aspects of it. It reminded me of the Trace and Rafa stuff from the Clone Wars. Even though that arc wasn't great, it did show us a cooler side to Coruscant, at least in that first episode. So that I appreciated. But and then they did a bunch of other world building. Like when they talked, someone mentioned it in the comments where they're mixing clone DNA. That gave me big Snoke vibes, and also the deconstruction of the Star Destroyers was really cool, and all that. And also clearly the I forgot her name again, Kane, Officer Kane. Like she clearly has some intentions. She wants to wipe the Doctor's mind for some reason, but it's weird. It's like if you wipe his mind, he's not really a doctor anymore. That means he's going to forget all his learning. Is that how it works? Or is it like he just doesn't remember certain things, but he can still be a doctor? So I don't know what her intention is, but she's clearly still doing stuff for the Empire. Like they wouldn't show all that if she wasn't going to be more relevant later on in the season. And she's not just being a New Republic spy, which was still peculiar. And then one thing I noticed is that security in the New Republic is terrible. It's just awful. Like, for one, Dr. Parshing is allowed to leave this zone relatively quickly. When they got on the trains, they were able to stop that door from closing. You know how usually you get a ticket, you have to walk through a little doorway area. It's usually has the spinny rod things, but only one person can go through at a time. It's like, okay, she just walked in, no security. And then on the train, there's people following them. It just, the New Republic is really bad at security, and it shows a lot of their corruption. And then we saw Coruscant, or not Coruscant, the Opera House from Revenge of the Sith. That was pretty cool, but I don't care too much for Easter eggs like that. I don't think there was any other Easter eggs. I know there was the cops on Coruscant. They looked like the cops on Canto Bight from The Last Jedi. I think I was the only one who noticed that, or at least that I saw on Twitter. So we can go back to the comments. Maybe Moff Gideon traded some information for freedom. No way. There's no way the New Republic would just let Moff Gideon go like that. No way. Yeah, Dr. Parshing, when mentioned casts, it made me think of Ray's father since he was a Shran cast. I wonder what he's up to. He's an important character, and he clearly escaped Exegol somehow. So yeah. Doctor is a eugenicist? Is it bad? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. So yeah, I don't know. So I liked, as a Star Wars fan, I liked this episode. It did a lot of interesting things. World builded. It tied in a little bit to what may happen with the sequels. But, and I tweeted this out, and someone asked me what I meant. I don't think The Mandalorian is for casual viewers anymore. With season 1 and 2, I think casual audiences are not invested in the Mandalorian culture. I think they're invested in Mando and Grogu. And now that's just not the point of the series anymore, at least for now. I mean, we'll see what they do later on, but this episode, for casual viewers, I would be so bored. The casual viewers don't care about the world building of the New Republic and setting the seeds for how it's going to fall in The Force Awakens. Like, the casual viewers, I just don't think are thinking about that. And this episode they did not need to go that far in depth to flesh out Dr. Parshing, especially if his mind's going to be wiped. So that was a peculiar choice. And this is my biggest criticism of the season, is that we're in the 3rd episode, so we're almost halfway done. We have one more episode until the halfway point, and we don't know the plot of the season. Like, what's this season about? The first 2 episodes were about Mando getting into the waters. He ends up doing that, and now he leaves, and then there's a whole 3rd episode about Dr. Parshing. What's the plot? Something's gonna happen with the Empire. The Mandalorians are gonna do something. There's no momentum in the season, and that's what I mentioned in the first 2 episodes. It's like, just wrap up the story. The Empire is probably gonna do something. It's like, what's next? With season 1, it's clearly Mando and Grogu need to escape from, or the plot is Mando learning to love Grogu. The first 3 episodes are about him kind of learning to accept that, and then the last 5 are Mando and Grogu trying to escape the Empire. And season 2 is about Grogu going to a Jedi. Like, that was from episode 1, episode 8. That was the plot. And it's like, with season 3, what are you gonna say? It's about Din Djarin getting redeemed. Well, he did that by the 2nd episode. Is it about the Empire? Like, the Empire is doing what? What are they doing? They're planning something again. There's no momentum. So like for next week's episode, I'm not dying to watch it. I'm more so just curious. Like I'm not super excited to see it because I don't know where the season's gonna go. A lot of these Coruscant scenes seemed like stills from episodes 2 and 3 and either the volume or a green screen was used. I don't know. I thought the CGI looked fine. I thought Coruscant looked pretty good. Maybe I'm wrong. The only person I saw who hated this episode was a Legends fan who hates the New Republic and canon for making dumb decisions. Yeah, if you hate governments making dumb decisions, you're gonna hate the Republic and the New Republic. So still loved seeing Coruscant again. Made me think about how awesome and captivating it would be to see Coruscant revisited for Duel of Fates with those big Disney dollars. Oh, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. Nah, those Coruscant shots were some of the best in the show. Yeah, I thought so too. It looked better than an Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan just looked weird. Maybe because we didn't really see it in day all that much. Because I feel like most of the Coruscant scenes were at night. And in day, lighting. It's easier to make things look better in the dark. But yeah, I don't know. There's nothing took me out of the sequence of the scenes. So yeah, I don't like again. I feel like there's not much to talk about or speculate about because again, the season has no momentum. What's gonna happen next? I can tell from the trailers that I think the Empire or some bandits are going to attack Navarro, and the Mandalorians are going to go and save it. Besides that, I don't know what's going to happen. Eugenics. Oh. Okay. Is when people select the best traits in the population. Okay. Is that really what they're doing? No, he's not. Oh, is he? I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Is there any like maybe this might be a shorter stream because I feel like there's just not much to talk about. I don't know. It's like we can speculate about certain things, how this may tie into the fall of New Republic. I just don't think they're gonna get into the roots of the First Order for a while. So maybe they're planting the early seeds of it, but I think we're gonna go back to Coruscant because in the trailers they did show. I think his name is Carson Teva. He's the Asian guy that's for the New Republic. Oh, and this is another thing people mentioned. If they think that the plot in this episode was just pulled from Rangers of the New Republic, because people I think it was Kathleen Kennedy talked about how that show's not really a thing anymore, and they're taking elements of that show and putting it into the Mandalorian. So that could be interesting. No momentum. The season set up a bunch for the wider season to go. If anything, the season has advanced the plot far more than season 1 and 2 combined. I don't see how. Like what you say advance the plot, but what is the plot? They're just setting up things. A good show sets up things and pays off things. This season has just been set up, and like a little bit of payoff with Mando redeeming himself, which wasn't a big deal. He just jumped in a lake, got up. We saw the Mythosaur, and now he's back with his crew. I guess Bo-Katan's gonna stay with him. We could always talk about Bad Batch instead. I have not watched Bad Batch, so I still have not watched a single episode of Bad Batch season 2. How many episodes are there? It might be time for me to start watching it. Bad Batch season 2. So 13 came out this week. Pabu. Interesting. So we have 3 episodes left. It might be time for me to start binging it. Speaking of Coruscant, I heard J.J. Abrams wanted to destroy Coruscant to make the First Order more menacing and threatening. I think that would have been a wise idea. I remember a bunch of prequel shills were freaking out like, oh, J.J. Abrams is such a hack. Like, he wanted to destroy Coruscant. I'm like, yeah, it would have made the story much better. It would have made the Hosnian Prime scene or the scene where the planets get destroyed much better. It's like, oh, they destroyed Coruscant. It would have been better if they actually at least showed a scene in Coruscant before being blown up. But yeah, I would have loved that. And then prequel fans, oh no. It's like, who cares? You guys really care about Coruscant that much? Like, oh, you're dying to see Coruscant again that bad? Somebody said that maybe Din or Boba would end up taming and riding the Mythosaur. I bet you that happens. I bet you Mando doesn't. But there's gonna be a shot at one point of him riding the Mythosaur, wielding the Darksaber, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Mandalore the second or something." I don't know. Please go. I bet you they do. I bet you they will. It just seems like they already had the shot of Boba riding the Rancor and Book of Boba Fett. Ugh, they're gonna do that again. As much as I love Coruscant, they should have blown it up since they did nothing with it anyway. Exactly. It's like, might as well. At least it would have been cooler instead of them blowing up Coruscant to have Coruscant be the main setting of Episode 9, like it was in Colin Trevorrow's version of the movie. I would have preferred that over blowing it up in Force Awakens, but I would have preferred blowing it up in The Force Awakens as opposed to nothing. And that was always a weird choice that the New Republic or the new movies made. It's more so the lore guys. It's like why they made Hosnian Prime the capital of the New Republic. Why? Why not just keep Coruscant? And there's some lore reason about they wanted to cycle capitals and all that nonsense. I don't know. I don't care for that too much. Just connective tissue is always fun as long as it doesn't. As long as it's not in your face. I love connective tissue. Yeah, I don't know. It's like again. I enjoyed a lot of lore aspects of this episode, and I thought that the character building with Parching was great. But as a casual viewer, I'd be disappointed. I actually kind of understand why it's one of the lower rated episodes. I don't think it's worse than at least like two of them. I think the first episode this season was worse. First episode this season was booty. It was bad. So I mean, I think I stand by it. This season so far has been just pretty mediocre. I thought the first episode was not good. The second episode was better, and this episode was a little bit better. So the New Republic was always a little stupid. It's not that moving your capitals is stupid or not. I just don't understand the why. Like, why make that decision? I could probably look it up in the lore books or something. I do have the visual dictionaries for all the Star Wars movies, so I guess I can look at that. Yeah, I might end this stream early because there doesn't seem to be that much of an active audience, and I feel like there's not much else for me to talk about. I gave my thoughts on the season, and that's kind of it. Do you guys have any other burning questions? Yeah, I think people are disappointed that there was so little Mando and Grogu in that episode. I don't care about that. And again, it still bothers me that Mando and Grogu are together. I mean, it's the cloud that's gonna hang over this season. The damage of the Book of Boba Fett, the damage that the Book of Boba Fett caused has been more than I thought it did. And I'm just not like it took away the whole point of the first two seasons. And there's just I call it the Avengers Endgame syndrome, where you've reached such a high at some point in your story that afterwards, if you don't match those stakes, it doesn't feel the same. So maybe they'll get there, but it's like we were at such a high in Mandalorian season 2, but now we're just like, oh, Mando's doing this, and they ruined the ending of season 2. So this season so far would be exactly the same if Grogu wasn't there. What has Grogu accomplished? Nothing. There's no reason for him to be here, and that was my concern going into the season. And so far, it's been valid. It's like you reunited Grogu and Mando. Okay, why? Like we knew it was gonna happen eventually, but why narratively did you do it? What purpose does Grogu now have in the series going forward? And I hope they fix that. But yeah. Did the Last of Us series make you want to play the games even though you're an Xbox gamer? The thing is, I don't like playing video game stories. I just rather sit down and watch it. Video game stories take too long. I'm too impatient. I'll play Jedi Survivor, but I don't know. Like I'd rather for a new game or for a game like Last of Us, I'd rather just watch all the cutscenes on YouTube. The season is really focused on the bigger picture. However, it doesn't have a goal yet. Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake that it doesn't have a goal yet. There's no momentum, and there's not much discussion. Would you have preferred if the third season dealt with Grogu and Mando reuniting? I just don't think it needed to be a plot point. Like, I don't want Grogu gone forever, but I think if they reunited at the end of the third season, but there was a specific reason why, I think that would have been far better. And it didn't need to be the climax of the season. Just maybe they do some more digging into Luke and Grogu, and that's why they bring him back. And so yeah, and this is probably true. They brought him back just to sell toys. They brought him back because they're afraid of telling a story of the Mandalorian without Grogu, which is funny because the best episode of the Mandalorian is the only episode Grogu's not in, which was chapter 15. What did you like the most about this episode? What do you think they did well? What I like is a lot of the world building stuff. I like that as a Star Wars fan. I don't think it was good for the story of the Mandalorian. I mean, we'll see if they pay it off nicely. I hope they do. And what do you think they did well? The action scene with the TIE Interceptors was really awesome. Grogu is the next 1,000 years. They better do backstory. I don't know. Just like, he's the face of Star Wars, I guess. But they can't make him a kid forever. You think before when they were talking to him, I'm just gonna lean back. I don't care if the camera's not centered completely. He like trying to make a noise, and then people thought that was him saying this is the way. But I thought it was just them alerting. I thought it was Grogu alerting Bo and Mando to the Empire's presence, like he sensed it, and then the Empire showed up right after that. Do you think he was like calling for the Empire, or he was saying like this is the way? I thought that was a little cheesy. But yeah, I mean, this season so far is not hit. The first episode of season 2 was so good. It was so good. And even though I hate Boba Fett and the fact that he returned, that them teasing that at the end of the first episode of last season was a good decision. It created intrigue and reasons to keep watching the next episodes. It's like the what are they gonna do now? I don't know. I guess we'll see what they do in the next season or next episode. God, Bad Batch has an 87% Rotten Tomatoes. Good lord. Jesus. All right, I guess I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Doesn't seem like there's much discussion here, and there's not much to talk about either. So, but anyway, thank you everyone so much for watching another one of my streams. Hopefully, there's more to talk about next week, and as the episodes progress, we have more to talk about, and I'll be more excited. Don't forget to join the Clone Squad, and I will see you guys next time. See you later.